Hi everybody, it's me, Corey T, and welcome to what will potentially be my only video about third parties, because I don't like giving third parties any attention at all. So this might be the only video that you need. Because when we're in that cycle of how can I get rid of a third party, how can I get rid of them, actually what you're doing is you're focusing on them. You're focusing on the problem. You're focusing on them, and every single time you focus on a third party, you're actually saying you're more important than me. Every time you Facebook stalk this third party, or you look at pictures of your specific person with the person that they're with, or the person that you think they might be with, you're saying you're more important than me. And you don't want to do that because it's not true. You are the most important one, and it's an illusion that there's any competition. There is no one better than you. There is no competition. We're all just very, very different. And so your connection with your specific person is completely and utterly unique to you and your person. And it doesn't compare to anything else. So that's one thing that you just need to not worry about at all. But also just please don't do any Facebook stalking or Instagram stalking. Just nope, that's not something I do anymore. I don't do that anymore. You say to yourself, I don't do that. It's not something I do. You disidentify with that behaviour because it's not part of you. You don't want to identify as someone who is comparing yourself or looking at someone else and giving them importance, more importance than you. You want to just stop that straight away. Let's not do that anymore. The other thing that I hear really all the time is that when people are doing visualizations, sometimes the third party will come in and ruin it. They'll ruin the visualization. They'll just suddenly be there. And then, we're in a visualization and we think, oh, for God's sake, why are you here? Now I can't feel how I wanted to feel in this visualization. And you're trying to get rid of them and you're thinking, oh no, I don't want to visualize you. Why are you here? And we feel all this stress and this resistance to the third party. But I'm going to tell you a trick. I'm going to tell you a very fun trick that you can try. So I also experienced this, particularly when I was in Italy and my specific person was at the other side of the world and he was seeing someone else at the time. And I used to do visualizations, and for the most part, I had a great time doing visualizations and really enjoyed doing them. But then occasionally, this third party would pop into the visualization and it would ruin it. And so what I started doing is I started saying, hello, how are you? I started seeing myself in the visualization as someone who was absolutely not threatened by this person and saw this person as an old friend, someone who I could be like, I really hope you're okay and I really wish you well and I hope you're happy and I accept that you have had a connection with my specific person and it's done and it's in the past, and now I see you as someone who I just hope is happy, and actually I'm not threatened by the third party at all. So if the third party would pop up without me wanting that to happen into my visualization, I would adjust my visualization to make it benefit me, to make it make me feel like, oh, cool, okay, hey, how are you? It's nice to see you. I really hope you're well. And then in the visualization, I would be the one who walked off hand in hand with my specific person, and we'd be saying, bye, see ya. It worked for me. And it's just how my brain decided to navigate those situations where someone else would pop up into the visualization, which sometimes is just beyond our control, isn't it? It just happens and we don't want it to happen, but it does because it's a fear that's coming up. It's a fear, I'm not good enough, I'm second best, and it's just coming up to say, hi, yes, this fear is still here, by the way. So transform it, use your imagination to take it as an opportunity, drop the resistance. And in general, if you can just see this person as someone who is just getting on with their life, this is where life has led them, there's nothing wrong with them, there's nothing bad about them, and they have a completely different, not comparable relationship to the one that you have. And for me, I always found comfort in going back to the feeling of my connection with my specific person. I just had a feeling that our connection was so strong and that nothing would ever change that, no matter what. And also another thing that I did is I always used to see the time that he was with anyone else, which happened, by the way, multiple times in the time that from when we met to when we actually got together. We went off in different directions in our lives, and we met other people, and he was with someone else, and he was with someone else, and someone else. He had many different people that he was with, and yet whenever I used to see it, I used to think, oh God, so annoying. I used to be frustrated. I used to think, why isn't he thinking about me? Why isn't he choosing me? And the thing is, he was where he was in his life at the time. That's where he was in his life. And I was somewhere else. And I used to think as well, this must be necessary in order for us both to learn the lessons that we need to learn in order for us to be the best possible people that we can be, in order for us to be together, for us to have the relationship that I want. And now when I look back at the relationships that he had, I think, well, thank God he had those lessons. Thank God he had that experience. Thank God I had my time for my own experience, because I needed it. I needed it for this relationship that we're in now, which is the best relationship that I've ever had. And so it's necessary. If you can see it's necessary, doing this just drops that resistance to that person and gives you the freedom to focus more on yourself than on another person. Because as I said before, every single time you're spending time focusing on a third party, you are saying you're more important than me. That person is more important than me. So no, we don't do that anymore. Not round here. We don't do that. It's so important when you're in a situation where you're focused on someone who is in a relationship with someone else or in a marriage with someone else to check in very, very often and very intently on your self-love, because you are so important. Your needs are so important. Your relationship needs are very, very important. And often when we're very focused on a situation and we're honing in on the problem, it's signifying to us that we're not focused on our self-love, and we need to really power up on self-love rather than focus on removing a problem. We don't want to do that. We want to focus more on ourselves and what relationship we want. In this situation, I think it's best to go general in terms of what you want in a relationship rather than focusing on the specifics of a particular relationship that you want. Because I think when we have a big scenario like this, it's really draining and can be really confusing and can really make us feel not good enough simply by focusing on that. And it's so important to come back to yourself so that you can redefine the relationship that you want. All of the things in a relationship that you've ever wanted and ever craved can be yours. You can have those things, but you've got to be really clear and have really clear boundaries when it comes to embodying the person that has that thing. So this is another scenario as well. Boundaries are so important if you're in a situation where you're seeing a specific person or talking to a specific person and there's connection and there's romance and there's flirtiness, but there's also another person involved and you know that they're seeing that person, talking to that person. If there's a situation like that, that can be incredibly confusing, especially when in this community there's all of this living in the end, stay in the wish fulfilled, stay in your mind, stay in your imagination, and it's going to conform. But the thing is, there's a missing piece in that. There's such a massive missing piece in that bit of advice, which is you have to embody that person. And the best way to embody someone who believes that they are first best, that they are chosen, that they are the one and the only one, and that they are someone who is treated with love and respect and complete commitment and devotion in a relationship. The missing piece to this equation is boundaries, right? Boundaries, I swear to God, are the thing that transform relationship dynamics, because that is how you embody being the person who believes that that is who you are. You believe that you are first best. So many of you know my example of this. When me and Johnny were very blurry, we weren't really together, we were talking, we were saying we loved each other, we were, really, really had a very, very strong connection. But we had this blurry thing where it was okay for us to see other people, which I had allowed. until it wasn't okay with me, until it didn't feel good anymore, until I found myself fighting with my mind and fighting with this idea of living in the end, and I'm not doing it right, and what if I'm creating more of it, and oh no, I must be doing it wrong because now he's seeing someone else, and all of this stuff, which was really, really, really unhealthy. And the most healthy, most self-loving, most powerful thing that I have ever done for me and him and our relationship was in that moment set a boundary and say, I want you to be where you are. I want you to be happy. I want you to do what you've got to do. I love you, and I feel really so happy whenever you call me or whatever. And I want to explore this relationship, but I can't do it if there's anything or anyone else involved. And I don't want you to talk to me if there is someone else involved. That's not who I am. I can't do that. So that's how I set a boundary. I set a boundary with this other person, and I know that that's really scary for a lot of people because they think, if I do this, then what if they disappear? What if they go away? What if they don't come back? And I know that's really scary. I know that's very uncomfortable, but the love that you feel for yourself when you put yourself first, when you say, no, this is what I want and I cannot accept anything less, is enormous. I felt amazing when I did that for myself. When I said no to one version of me. I even said no to a version of me. The version of me that was okay with sitting and looking at that scenario, analysing it and ruminating on it and wishing it was different. I said no to that version of me, and I said no to that version of him, and I felt so empowered and strong. And yes, he did disappear for a good 8 months. Sorry, there's a fly there. He did disappear, and that was scary and uncomfortable, but it taught me what I needed to learn in order for me to be in the relationship that we're in now. And this is the other thing. So often people say to me, what if my specific person meets someone else? What if while we're apart they find someone else? What do I do? Honestly, even if that happens, it doesn't matter. Even if that happens, you see, well, this is going to hurt, but actually I trust that it's for the best. I trust that it's necessary. I trust that this is the journey that I'm on. I trust that things are unfolding. Because even if that happens, like with my situation, while me and Johnny were apart, there were many, many, many different people along the sort of 7 years that we were apart. And by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen my story before, in those 7 years, I wasn't sitting manifesting all the time. I got on with my life. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I was just sitting there focusing on manifesting all the time. But what I'm saying is, we had different relationships, but did it stop us from being together in the end? No. Things change. Things evolve. We grow. Situations evolve. Decisions are made. And we were led back to each other. And I believe that my part in that was believing that that was possible. Continuing to know that our connection was real and true. And just absolutely having a faith in that, and knowing really eventually that there was no one, there's just a total illusion that there's anyone better than me. And often the big pain, that comes with third parties is just that, honestly, if you go into that feeling in your chest or wherever it is that you feel it, and ask that feeling, what do you have to say to me? What is it? What's the word? What's the word that comes up? And for me, it's not good enough. Not good enough. Don't feel good enough. That's what the feeling wants to say. And so that's where we've got to start from. We've got to start by saying, okay, well, just because this person exists and may be very pretty, may be very attractive, it doesn't mean that you are not. It doesn't mean that your existence is any less important. It doesn't mean that you are any less amazing. This person's presence, your awareness of this person cannot and will not ever take that away from you. You are amazing. No one compares to you at all. And you've got to go into that sort of sense of knowing within yourself that says, I am a really good person, and I deserve real, true commitment, love, devotion. You deserve that. And just because this person exists does not mean that you don't. And I wouldn't go into listing all of your amazing qualities and comparing your qualities to the other person's qualities, because that's all ego stuff. That's all just ego-y things. what you want to do is drop down into the knowing of you knowing. Because when we're focused on our qualities and the way other people perceive us, we're still dependent on what other people are thinking of us, and we're using the way that we see ourselves and the qualities that we think we have as evidence to say, yeah, well, they must know that I'm this, so that means that I'm better. They must know that I'm like this, so that must mean that they see, we're doing this comparing thing, but actually we're relying on the way that other people see us. We're trying to find those qualities in order for us to feel like, oh yeah, okay, well, I'll be perceived in a good way then. I'll be perceived in the best way because I've got these XYZ qualities. But actually, true self-love and deep self-love comes from a deeper place, a deeper sense of knowing that your self-love and your worthiness is not dependent on any of your characteristics, the way you look, what you did, what you said, none of that. It's just because you're alive. It's just because you're alive. And it can never be taken away from you by anyone. I think there's another really unhealthy thing that I see happening all the time, where people are so focused on one particular relationship, and the third party situation almost gives people fuel for their thunder to manifest this person. It makes them more obsessed with the person because when the third party comes along, that's our cue for our I'm not good enough to go, right, now I really need to sort this out. Now I really need the proof. Now I need the proof that this person in particular will love me because this feels really bad. Now I think that my worth is being shaken up a bit here. My worth has been shaken up, so I need to know that this person will love me because it feels so bad for me to be unconsciously comparing myself to this person and putting my worth and making my worth dependent on whether this person loves me or not. So then we become more obsessed and more focused on this person. And guess what that does? That takes away from the main thing that we need to be doing in order to create the relationships that we want in our life, which is focusing on what we want, what we deserve, how we feel about ourselves, how amazing we are, giving ourselves that massive boost of confidence and validation and approval and self-love that we're enough no matter what. And there is no situation out there, there's no person, there's nothing that can ever take that away from us. There's nothing. But what we do, because we feel like this feels really bad, it really, really shakes us up. And I really, really know the one. It feels awful when you see a specific person with someone else. And that's human and normal. Very, very human and normal. So you've got to remind yourself of that, especially in the noise of this community, which will tell you to not feel bad. You're human and you're going to feel things on this journey. And it's normal for you to have that instinctual reaction that's like, I feel absolutely heartbroken and awful and I don't feel enough. But remember as well, what I always say, the pain that we feel is equal to the dependence that we have on that person and that person's perception and opinion of us in order for us to feel worthy. So whenever it feels really bad, that's our cue to remind ourselves that we are good enough exactly as we are, and there's nothing outside of us that can prove that or disprove it, take it away from us. It's okay for you to put your focus on this situation down, and it's actually really necessary for you to put your focus on this situation down. This third party, this person who is seemingly in the way, is actually not in the way. Maybe this person's purpose is to remind you that this person's existence and no other woman or man's existence can ever take away from the fact that you're enough, and also can never change your connection with your person. Your person and your connection with them is so unique, nothing can ever break it, and everything is okay. And another thing that you can also do, as I mentioned before, is just see this situation as necessary in order for you to have the time and the space for you to both grow and become the person and the people that you need to be in order for you to create the relationship that you want. It's all working in your favour. Everything is perfect. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing's gone wrong, nothing's gone wrong, nothing's gone wrong. Everything's okay. And you've just got to trust and be like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. Don't need to focus on that. I actually don't need to do anything. I'm good enough exactly as I am. Our connection is still there. It's not going anywhere. It's been created, so it's not going anywhere. My desire is still the same. I can get on with my life and I know that that's still going to be there. So there's nothing to worry about. It's just done, okay? So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I've got a 20% discount on my one-to-one coaching and my courses at the moment. If you would like to talk to me about your specific situation, if you'd like some support, then just let me know. You can find all the information in my website, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.